My presentation is on how harshly judged sharks are threatening extinction. Sharks are very, very important to our oceanic ecosystems, and people tend to really harshly judge them. And so let's just get right into it. For a long time, the behavior and perceived aggression of sharks has been wildly sensationalized and exaggerated by film and media. We see that in like Jaws was like the Kickstarter for that, and then like Sharknado and all of those movies, and people are just terrified of sharks. And because of this, a large majority of people, if you're sharks, they see them as ruthless and vicious and bloodthirsty, when really that's not the largest portion of sharks. And a lot of sharks, they're very unique. You can't really generalize every single species of shark. All of them are unique and have their own special and interesting personalities, and they are all very important to our oceanic ecosystems, which is why it's so important to be educated on them, because they are very endangered because of things like overfishing and finning practices, which we banned finning practices in, I believe, 2020 or 2022, but other countries do them. So the problem here is that shark populations, after surviving for 440 million years, are plummeting. They lived through 5 mass extinction events, one of them being it killed like 90% of all living creatures on Earth, but sharks lived. Overfishing and finning practices are decimating species of sharks, and this is detrimental to our ocean's ecosystems. Without sharks, the whole ecosystem of the ocean would go out of balance. Some people believe that without sharks, getting rid of this apex predator would be a good thing, but it's actually quite the opposite. Sharks keep fish populations in check, and if sharks didn't exist, these fish populations would grow and grow, and the resources of food in the ocean cannot sustain such a large population. And so they consume all of the herbivores. The fish consume all of the herbivores, and the herbivores are the ones who eat like the algae and stuff. And if there's no herbivores to eat the algae would take over all of the coral reef habitats. So our oceanic ecosystems would be done for if it weren't for sharks, which is why they are so important, and important why we protect them. So what causes this problem is that sharks are very misunderstood, as I said before. And I feel like these sort of misconceptions tend to be used as an excuse by some people for why it's okay to do the overfishing and stuff, because they're seen as vicious, and why would we want something like that on the planet? Go ahead and get rid of all of them. But they don't understand how important they are, and that leads to the decimation of shark populations, which, as I said before, unraveling the oceanic ecosystem. So actually, sharks, people believe that shark attacks are really common, and that they're a way higher problem than they actually are. I wrote it down right here. An average of 10 deaths per year are attributed to sharks. And in the US, from the years 1970 to 2000, in US alone, only 12 people died from a shark attack within those 30 years. And more deaths are caused worldwide by falling coconuts, but you don't see people scared of coconuts. So that's interesting. We have way more to fear in our day-to-day lives than sharks. So what's the point of being so scared of them if we can just educate ourselves? Because they're really not as bad as you think. There are definitely more aggressive breeds. Take, let's say, great white shark, tiger shark, bull shark, mako, hammerheads. Those are all naturally aggressive breeds or species. And the thing is that you can look at them and study their behaviors and see why they act that way. Not all sharks are like that. There are over 500 species of sharks. Not all two sharks are going to be the same. Let's jump in. Tiger shark. I love these guys. They all have varying behaviors depending on, their environment and just the way they are. Not all people are going to have the same personalities and characteristics. Why would sharks? They all have their individual personalities, and they become aggressive when they feel threatened. But they're also very curious and bold and inquisitive. And they like to study things that are new to them. So if they come across something in the ocean that's unfamiliar, they go and study it, which is why they come across humans pretty frequently out of like other types of sharks, which is why they get that reputation for being seen as aggressive. But on the opposite spectrum, my favorite shark is the lemon shark. They're docile towards humans. They're social and friendly, and they are seen to prefer other individual sharks. Like they'll pick one shark or a couple sharks that they prefer to have social interactions with. And they also like to be friends with sharks that are more around their size. And it's not even a thing about survival or anything. When researchers put a couple of these sharks into an area where they had an abundance of food and they were absolutely not threatened at all, they still liked to put in an effort to go and hang out and communicate with other sharks. So yeah, they're really interesting. So the solutions, protecting shark conservation through education. Ask questions, learn facts, and then share what you learn with others. With education, people can better understand the behavior of sharks and learn to respect them. It's all about, respecting their territory and respecting them. Honestly, if someone came into my living space and I didn't know them, I'd probably get pretty aggressive too. So can you really blame them? So my conclusion, if we keep excusing finning and overfishing of sharks because they're vicious and bloodthirsty, sharks could go extinct. And many sharks are already endangered for these very reasons. We need to continue helping people understand sharks and their importance before it is too late. And that time is coming up. They are not doing well. And there are my references. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed.